Hey y'all, it's Tanya with Fab Faith Life, and I'm back with a new video. And yes, I am planning to run away from home. Yep. So those of you who follow me for a while know the blog started because I was getting close to that signature milestone birthday, and I really kind of had, I call it a midlife episode. And so I just really had a strong desire just to leave the country, to travel and to see and experience other cultures and people. And I also I wanted to connect with the Christian community around the world. So growing up in the U.S. in the South, in Memphis, Church of God in Christ headquarters, I'm used to how we do things and how, the Christian church in America. But the Christian church is a global body. It exists, I think there's a scripture in Revelations that speaks to that great multitude of every tongue, every kindred, every people. And so Jesus' church, that on that day, heaven is going to be like that. And so I was like, man, what is it like if you're a Christian in London, or you're a Christian in Istanbul, or Seoul, South Korea, or New Zealand, or in Ghana, or Nigeria, or Germany? I kind of wanted to do that. I just really had a desire to do that, and to see and experience other cultures and all of that. And I've traveled a lot in the U.S., and I've been to Mexico, been to the Caribbean a couple times, and I've even been to Canada, as close if you can count Niagara Falls. But I've never traveled internationally, like, I always wanted to, but I just never, I never could pull the trigger on that. So I just began to get a strong desire to do that and to see it. It just was in my heart. And it's been there probably about the last 4 or 5 years. And the thing about going on a trip, because that's what I was planning to do. But you don't really get to learn a place like if you live there and spend, a little bit longer period. The longer you're there, the more you know a place. And so I was like, man, I would love to spend a year in Seoul, South Korea, doing something. But like most of us, we got real life. We got real bills. We got real mortgage. We got real things that we need to do. And so it's never, it's not that a lot of people don't want to do that kind of thing, but it just doesn't seem possible from where you are. And so that was kind of my story until we get an email, I think in the fall of 2018, get an email that my company is doing doing a buyout. And I was like, oh my gosh. Funny, the story, when they did the last buyout, which is probably 7, 8 years ago, when I looked at the numbers, didn't make sense for me to take it. But I began to pray. I said, Lord, when they offer the next one, I want to be ready to go. I want to be in a position that I can take them up on it. So when this one came about, I initially looked at my financial situation, which was way worse than it had been before, and I was like, girl, you need to have 2 seats. So, but then the more I thought about it, I looked at it, I crunched the numbers, and I was like, okay, the numbers, for me, it made more sense for me to take it, pay off all my debt, and still have money left over to kind of support myself for a year or so while I was looking for another job. So after that, I said, oh yeah, I'm all in. So I got very excited. The next day I got to work, typing in, hit that send button, and I was off to the races. I just knew, because I prayed about that this was the will of God for me. Y'all, I was ready. I got charges, the international charges. I got me a backpack. I just started getting the things that I would need to be this new digital nomad, right? So your offer had to be accepted, and they told us they would let us know on someday in April. So I just knew it. Y'all, when I got that letter and it said I was not accepted, I'm like, what? But I was just discombobulated for a minute because I just knew that was the will of God for me, but it was not. It absolutely was not. So I had to figure out, because my whole channel was going to be about me, a lot about kind of what life is like post buyout, with me doing a lot of travel and some entrepreneurial things that I've been working on for 20 years, low key. So now I had to kind of reconfigure what I'm going to do with myself. And so I've kind of been floating around. And, I still have a strong desire to go. It goes and comes. The places I want to go, I basically want to go everywhere that's not hot. Let me make a correction, because me and hot just don't get along like that. But I just really still have a desire to do that. I'm interested in so many things. I'm interested in, there's a movement called BAM, which stands for Business as Mission. And it's the concept behind it says that it's not, the work of the Lord is not just pastors, and spiritual work. There's also the work of, the stuff that you have to do to be alive, the building of houses, the feeding people. And even today, it's it's e-commerce, and all these other types of things. It's valuing whatever God has given someone, for the benefit of everyone. So then the other piece to that, business's mission, it's all about, it's just recognizing over time, I guess, in doing missions work for so many years, we've recognized the only thing that really moves the needle forward in terms of dealing with issues like homelessness and, all these other social issues is giving someone a job. So, it's great that you can send your jeans over somewhere, but it's better if you can, show someone how to, make jeans, or, wash jeans or embroider jeans, something that, will keep going long after you're gone. They won't be dependent on other people. They can then pick up the ball and go forward. So a lot of those ideas are what Business's Mission is about. So I've been interested in that. And over the last few years, I've been to conferences and I've connected with, found out about different organizations. I'm interested in all of that. So yeah, I just had the desire. And so this week I've been attending a conference called the Exodus Summit, and it's put on by Rashida Rowe and Stephanie Perry. And it's exodussummit.com. It's going on, I think, all throughout the weekend, and it's not too late to register. And basically it's targeting African American women, and it's for many of them, they're telling their stories and giving strategies on how and why and where, how they were able to do different, move out of the country, whether some are on sabbatical, some are doing temporary house sits, other people, are kind of floating from place to place, and some are just, doing a lot of traveling, and they're yet coming back to their home base in the state. So I've been listening on some of the sessions off and on, interesting, great information. And this morning I was listening to one, and it really kind of talked about, how do you save for if you wanted to do like a sabbatical? How do you, save the money on it? And I was just thinking about some things, and I was like, you know what? I really would like to do that. I was like, man, the idea popped in my head. If you could do anything, I was sitting in the bed listening to the summit, and it just popped in my head, the thought, if you could do anything, what would you do? If you could do anything. Money were no object. Nothing else mattered, but just if you could do anything, what would you do? And I was like, man, I would love to take a sabbatical for a year and spend like 3 months in 4 different places, international cities. And so I jotted that idea down, and I just started kind of thinking through it. And I was like, okay, what if you could keep your job? You're already working from home. You can work from anywhere. All you need is Wi-Fi. What if your job, if God worked that out where you could do that? And I was like, that would be good. Then I just kept thinking through and some opportunities, and you could do this. And I was like, you know what? Why don't you just go for it? Why don't you just do it? You're at a certain age. I'm not married. I do not have any children. I do have, my mother is 77. She's actually in way better health than I am. But a couple things happened recently. I know she went to have her mammogram, and she got a call, hey, we need you to come back in. We see something. I was like, Okay. So that happened. And then yesterday I had a church member, dear sweet sister. I think she was probably between 55 and like 58-ish. But she was diagnosed with breast cancer earlier this year. And sadly, she passed away yesterday. And I was not, last time I spoke with her, she was doing pretty well. She'd had a surgery and all, but she passed away. And I'm like, wow, none of us, we didn't come here to stay. So FYI, this is a sidebar. But recognize the scripture says it is appointed unto man once to die, then the judgment. We are not going to be here forever. As looking like we look, as good as we look, as fit as we look, as low as our A1C might be right now, we are not going to be here forever. We are finite beings. Now, there will be some who will be here when Jesus returns. But for probably the large, vast majority of us, there is an expiration on our lives. There just is. So that happened. And so I was just really just thinking about all those things, and that just desire has kind of just been buried deep down, and I have a great life. I have zero complaints. Zero complaints. It's nothing I can, I can't. God has been so awesome to me. He blessed me to get a new job actually April 1st. After, in the process of working from home, I switched jobs. So, and it's interesting. It's something that I'm interested in. I'm actually working as an e-commerce strategist. So, and those who know me know I've been working in e-commerce without my own side hustles and with different local groups for a long time. So, I can say this is a job where I got the job because of what I know more than what I do. So, I thank God for that. But it's just something else. I just feel like, I don't know. In a sense, I kind of just feel like, I don't know. I feel like it's something out there for me. I don't know. It's just, even those great experiences and just being able to, because I was like, I want to have friends, Christian friends all around the world. Nice people anywhere, but definitely Christian friends all around the world. I just would love to have a sense for what does the church look like in all these places. And so that's just been something that, all these things have just been kind of down in there, but today I said, Lord, I tell you, my mother is 77, but she's in relatively good health, and she is, I already know she's going to have a fit if I were to tell her, hey, I'm going to go for a year. But I know she could recover, because like I said, have to believe God to do some things. You have to believe God because, yeah, anything could happen at any time. We got to trust God on everything. Make sure, she's taking care of their ways to do that. Like now, already her click list is ways to do that, So anyway, I said to myself, I said, if my mother... if my mother were to come, be diagnosed with cancer, deal breaker. I mean, that's, yeah. But I said, Lord, you know what? My mother's 77 years old. She's in good health. That may not always be the case, It's still not the ideal. Probably would have been, in my eyesight, ideal to have done a sabbatical in my 20s or my 30s, But happy ever, I just didn't have, wasn't in my heart and mind to do at that time. And I actually probably had $0. I was not in the position, that I am in now. So I was like, Lord, I have a desire to do that. And if my mother, I didn't say it, but I was thinking, if my mother, if she comes through this additional test and, she's okay, I'm going to take this opportunity to go and do it. I'm just going to go for it. I'm going to go for it. Whoo, child. So my mother called me about an hour ago. She'd had her sex. She went back for the additional screenings. And they told her, Miss Tate, everything looks good. See you next year. And I was like, wow. 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 So here I am. This is, this is a recalibration, kind of what I'm planning, and what's in my heart to really do. I would like to leave next June and on a sabbatical year. Ideally, I want to keep my job and just work from wherever I am and visit 4 countries and spend 3 months in each country. really kind of getting to know and being part of the community. So that's kind of where I'm planning. So yeah, and then after that, I'll figure, because there are a lot of people say after doing something like that, they decide not to come back to the States or whatever. I don't know, but that's what's in my heart to do, and I'm just gonna be praying about it, as because a lot of things will have to line up, but God can do anything. Because if you had told me sitting in watch meeting service on December 31st, 2019, that I would be able to work from home from March until now, I would have never believed that. What can, as horrible as COVID is, and it's horrible, but like many things in the world, you've got horrible right next to wonderful. They exist at the same time. And that's many people's stories. Many people are talking about how they've been blessed and how they've gotten to spend more time with their family and loved ones. And, I know even for me, I used to have a lot of dark circles under my eyes. They have just about disappeared. And I mean, I did it. My boss used to say, "Ooh, are you tired? You got dark circles under your eyes." And now I don't really even have them anymore. It's just when you used to rushing everywhere, even the church, because we can do a lot of work, especially the women, we can do a lot of work at the church. And we can just be running so much that we just don't have time to. And so for me, for like many of you, that's kind of what this time from March up until now has been. So that's kind of where I'm headed. I'm excited. I'm just in initial stages of trying to put together a plan and see all the details about what that looks like. And so I thank you to the ladies of ExodusSummit.com, which it is still going on. You can go over there and check it out and register. It's not too late to begin to, act on some of those desires with prayer and faith in God. That God can bless me to do it. And thanks to everybody on the Bible app, because I put something out there, I think last year, I've been praying about. At the time, I wanted to go to Seoul, Korea, and I still want to go. That's one of my places. I thank everyone who's been praying for me, and I'm just going to believe God to do it, and God to, bless everything to be okay at home and just to work everything out. So I'm excited. Scared, a little bit scared, more excited. It's like, how's everything gonna work? How's everything? And then another thing, I was just thinking about something. Man, so we know in Genesis, God comes to Moses and he tells Moses to leave. And I'm not saying this is that. Not saying that at all. But just kind of the idea that God came to Moses and he says, go. That's all he said. He didn't say, okay, I want you to go. I want you to do this and do this. Go down that road, take that highway. I want you to go to that state, that city. He just said, go. And once you start going, then I will show you where I want you to go. I'm like, wow. And he's called the Father of the Faithful, meaning all he knew was God said, go. I'm not saying God told me this. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that right now. Not saying that, but I just know, the scripture says, for it is God who is at work in you, giving you the will and to do of his good pleasure. So sometimes these desires and things that we have, that's God working those things in you, So I'm not 100% sure right now, but, we shall see, So yeah, I'm excited, and I invite you to join me on this journey of figuring everything out. And yeah, what that looks like. And until next time, this is Tanya with Fab Faith Life on my way to running away from home. Bye-bye.